This is Amud Yomi Gemara in Berachos Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis. As Baruch Hashem will be concluding the fifth parak of Berachos today. We pick it up on Lamed Daled Amud Beis. We're about 10 lines down. First line is Zbeach Hashem at the two dots. We spoke about in the previous year bowing. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan. There's different types of bowing. Kida. What does a kida mean? Ala payim. To bow on one's face. Shenamar. Vatikar b'shava payim arza. She bowed her face down to the ground. Kriya al berkayim. On the knees. Shema mekra al berka, which of course is what we do on the Yom and the Rayim. Hishtachavoya. This is what they did in the Beis Hamikdash. Du pishi yadayim v'raglayim. Fully outstretched. Prostration. Shema havu nava and even mcha chachal shachvais l'cha arza. Amar Rav Chiya bar Rav Huna chazinu l'labay v'rava tematzle atzluli. That they didn't do full hishtachavaya, but rather they leaned on their sides. And this, of course, comes to the fact that after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, we do not do full hishtachavaya anymore. Tani chada. Says the Gemara, going back to yesterday's Amana, which we learned about the places to bow in Shemona Esrei. We learned to the beginning and end of Avos and beginning and end of Moedim. So Tani Chada says one brayso, Karei Baida Reza Meshubach, bowing at Haidah is praiseworthy. Vitani Dech, another brayso says, Hareza Meguna on the last narrow line. Loikash Habet Chila, bowing at the beginning of Moedim. That is the right thing to do. Halib Saif, bowing at the end, is Meguna, is the wrong thing to do. Rava Karei Baida Techila Visaif. Amr Rabbanan, am I governed Marachi? Why are you doing that? Amr Laho, Chazin Rav Nachman the Karva, Chazin Rav Shish the Kavod Hachi. This is what I saw. I saw my Rebbas that this is what they did. I Tanya asked the Gemara Krebaida. Hare zu meguna. But we learned in a brayso, if you bow at Haida, then it is a meguna, which we just explained to mean libis saif. So why Rava did he do it? Says the Gemara, that's not in Shemona Esrei. That's Haidah in a Hallel. In a Hallel, it's inappropriate. It's not the right thing to bow, and therefore it's considered Meguna. Bryce is seemingly saying both. Two different Haidahs, one in Hallel, one is Berachos Hamazon. Says the Mishnah, one who davens and makes an error, Simin Raloi, it is a bad sign for him. To those who sent him to daven, he would daven for the sick, and then he would say, I know this one's going to live and this one's going to die. Amr Lai. How do you know which is going to live and which is going to die? Amr Lai. He would answer, I would find that if the tefillah was shkura b'fi, it came out nicely. Yadani shu makubal. V'im lav yadani shu maturaf. I know that it will be rejected. Continue straight into the Gemara. We're 5 lines from the very wide lines. Ahai. Which one of the brachas is the Mishnah referring to? Amar Rav Chiya bar Rav Safra Misham Echad Devei Rabbi be'avos. The first, making a mistake in avos. Iktimas la brayso. Some explain this din on the brayso. You have to have kavanah in all the brachas. You should have kavanah in one of them. Amar Rav Chiya bar Rav Safra Misham Echad Devei Rabbi be'avos. That means at the very least, and of course we know that this is the halacha, one has to have kavanah by avos. If one does not have kavanah by avos, Shulchan Aruch actually says you should start davening again. Lamaisa, we paskin, we don't do that nowadays, but one does need to have kavanah, at least to know the basic Pirush Hamilim in the first bracha of Shemona Esrei. The 2 dots, 2 lines from the wide lines. Amar Rav Chanina ben Daisa. He said Rav Chanina ben Daisa, the Mishnah says he knew which one is going to live and not based on the Tefillah Menanim Ili. What is the source for this? Then Amar Rav Yeshua ben Levi Damar Cross says the pasuk. Bari Nivsif Asayim, he created the utterance of lips. Shalom Shalom L'Rachel L'Karva Amar Hashem Rifasif. So we see in the pasuk, Rashi explains that Bari is like Bari, means that when the tefillah is bari, when it's smooth and when it's healthy, that's when he knows that the tefillah will be answered. All the Nevi'im only prophesied about The rewards for one who marries his daughter to the Talmid Chacham, loisa prakmat to the Talmid Chacham, one who does business with the Talmid Chacham, one who benefits a Talmid Chacham from his possessions, that's one who's going to get incredible reward. Avol Talmidei Chachamim Atzmon, meaning all the nevuah was about those that give to the Talmid Chacham. But the Talmid Chacham himself, no eye will see the reward that he is going to get. We can't even fathom the goodness. Zulascha, Upligi de Shmuel, and this argues on Shmuel on the fourth very wide line. Damar Shmuel, Ain Bein Olam Azeli Moshe Sheikh Al Shiv and Malchus Belvaz, be no difference. Sorry for the fact that we won't be under the government. Shnemer Kilo Yechtel Evi and Mikar Vahar. Samar Chibar Rabbi Yechlan. Kol Avi and Kulan Estamda Ella. This is the third shot. LeBali Tshuva. Avol Tzadikim Gemurim. We know Bali Tshuva on a higher plateau in some levels. It says the Gemara on other levels, Sadiqim, Gemurim, Ayin, L'Ras, Al-Kim, Sulasech, and of course, Fligi de Rav Avua, as we mentioned, Amar Avua, Makish, Bal Tshuva, Ayin, the Gemurim, Ayin, Ayin, Bal Tshuva on a higher level, Shnemer, Shalom, Shalom, L'Rachik, U'Lekarav, L'Rachik, Bereisha, and then, V'Hat L'Ekarav, the incredible Mailo, incredible level of Bali Tshuva, even being higher than Sadiqim, Gemurim. Rav Yochanan, Amar L'Chan, Yochanan will tell you, My Rachik, what does it mean when it says you're far? She'Rachik, Midvar Avir, Meikar, you're far from the Avir from the beginning. Sadiqim, Gemurim are also rachik, that they never did avera at all. My karov, shekarov the avera in Isaac ben Hashta. My ain laras. What does it mean that I will not see? Rav Shimon Levi. Zeyayin hamishumar. This is wine that's preserved. Ba'anav and it's great. Shitzmei abrashes. Shomar achmeni amar ze'eden shaloshatu ba'ina kol beria. This is Gan Eden. That no eye, that the creature. No eye can see. Adam Arishan Echanaya. What do you mean? Adam Arishan saw it. Began using Gan. He wasn't in Gan Eden. Using Gan. Shematamer who gan who Eden, maybe it's the same thing. Tamlamer and Har Yotime Eden, Lahashkois Esad Gan, two different areas. Gan Lechod, the Eden Lechod. Tanu Rabbanan says the Gemara about 15 lines from the end of the parak. First one line is Eden, and we're at the two dots. Tanu Rabbanan. Maisa Shachal ben Oishav Gamliel, the son of Gamliel, took sick. Shiger Shnei Tamid Chama Yitzar V'chlina ben Daisa L'Vakshta V'Rachman. He went to V'chlina ben Daisa to daven for him. Kim Shirayisam Alul Aliyah Bikish L'Rachman. V'chlina ben Daisa went up to the attic and he started davening. This is as he saw the Talmid Chacham approaching. He didn't even speak to them yet. Peridasai, when V'chlina ben Daisa came down, Amar Lahem L'chu Shechalatzu Chama. Go back to Rav Gamliel. There's no more fever. Amar Lai v'chi Navi ata, are you a Navi? Amar Lahem Lai Navi anoich lo ben Navi anoichi. Elakach mekub lani have the following gabol. Shkur tefillah sebepi. If the tefillah shkura is fluent in my mouth, Yadini she mekub I know it's accepted. And Lavi Yadini she matura. V'yashav v'kasu kimnu oisasha. They wrote down the precise moment that Rav Chlina ben Daisa told him this. Kshabayit Rav Gamliel. When he came back to Rav Gamliel, Amar Lahem ha'avaida. He made a shvuah. Sartem elikach chaya ma'isa wasn't a moment before. It wasn't a moment after. Rather, that such was the ma'isa b'isa shachal sasacham v'shalon u'mayim lishtais. At that moment, the fever broke, and he asked for water to drink. V'shamaisa, there's another story about Chlina ben Shalom l'teirei Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai. He went to learn to Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai v'chol ben Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai. The son of Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai took ill. Amar Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai told Rav Chlina ben Daisa, Chanina bini. Because of Rachman v'yichud daven for him. But his head between his knees, he davened and he lived. If I, Rav Yochanan ben Zakkai, would put my head between my legs in tefillah for an entire day, when I listen, his wife said to him, what? Is Rav Chanina greater than you? Laugh. He's like an Eved. An Eved goes easily from the king. He's on very close terms. I'm like a Sar, and therefore I need more of an invitation to come, therefore I can't daven. So interesting teretz. At some level, he's obviously higher, but at some level, the Eved has more of the access to the king. And finally, the parak concludes, as we saw prior already, Neged Yerushalayim. It's arrogant if you daven in an open area. You shouldn't daven in an open area like a valley. One who exposes Averis by telling people about his Averis. You should conceal your Averis. You never want to tell people that what you did wrong. Hadron halach einaim din. What a simcha. Baruch Hashem, 33 daf in. Feels like yesterday we started trying to push, and we'll pick it up in the famous Kitzur Mavarchim in the next year. B'siyata dishmaya.